In the heart of a small Kenyan town, Muzi Jabali's butchery sat proudly at the corner of the bustling market. Smoke curled lazily from his grill as the rich smell of nyama choma and mutura filled the air. People came from all over just to taste his meats, the softest, juiciest, most flavorful in town. Amani, Mzi Jabali's granddaughter, loved spending weekends at the butchery. She helped clean tables, serve customers, and sometimes even learned how to make samosas. But she never understood why Mzi Jabali never bought cows or goats like other butchers. Guka, Amani asked one evening as she helped him chop onions, where do you get your meat? Mzi Jabali chuckled softly, his knife gliding smoothly over the chopping board. I have my ways, Mitoto Wangu. You focus on the cooking. Amani frowned, but said nothing more. She trusted her grandfather. After all, everyone in town loved his meat. The secret sauce. But one night, curiosity got the better of her. It was late, and the butchery had closed. Amani lay on a small mattress in the back room, wrapped in a heavy blanket. Just as she was drifting off to sleep, she heard Mzi Jabali talking softly to someone outside. Carefully, she tiptoed to the door and peeked through a small crack. Standing outside was Mzi Jabali's younger brother, Uncle Baraka. He ran the town's mortuary. His clothes were dusty, and his eyes looked tired. In his hand was a large brown sack. Is that tonight's delivery? Mzi Jabali asked quietly. Uncle Baraka nodded. Yes, fresh from the mortuary. No one will notice. Amani's breath caught in her throat. She covered her mouth to keep from gasping. Mzi Jabali took the sack and dragged it into the butchery. Amani watched as he carefully placed it on the table and untied the knot. She couldn't see what was inside, but the way Mzi Jabali handled it made her stomach twist. The pale man. The next day, Amani acted like nothing had happened. But her mind raced with questions. That evening, just as the sun dipped behind the hills, a strange man entered the butchery. His skin was pale, and his eyes looked sunken. His suit hung loosely on his bony frame, and his voice was soft like the wind. I hear you have the best meat in town, the man whispered, his lips curling into a thin smile. Mzi Jabali greeted him warmly and served him a plate of stew. Amani watched from the corner as the pale man ate, his movements slow and deliberate. When he finished, he stood up, nodded to Mzi Jabali, and left without a word. Amani tugged at Mzi Jabali's apron. Guka, who was that man? Mzi Jabali wiped his hands. Just a customer, Amani. Everyone needs to eat. But Amani wasn't so sure. Nights, whispers. As the days passed, more strange visitors came to the butchery at night. They never spoke much and always left as quietly as they arrived. Each time, Uncle Baraka brought another sack from the mortuary and Mzi Jabali prepared more meat. Amani couldn't keep quiet any longer. One night, she confronted her grandfather. Guka, I know where the meat comes from. It's from the mortuary, from dead bodies. Mzi Jabali's face darkened, but he didn't deny it. Listen, Amani, he said softly. Not everyone can afford to throw away what's still good. The people who come here, they are not like the others. They are hungry, and no one else feeds them. But Guka, it's wrong, Amani whispered. Mzi Jabali placed a hand on her shoulder. Maybe, but this butchery is what keeps our family alive. You must understand, sometimes we do what we must to survive. Amani felt tears sting her eyes, but she said nothing more. The breaking point. One evening, as Amani watched the butchery from the doorstep, she saw the pale man standing at the edge of the market. But this time, he wasn't alone. Behind him stood more figures, silent, stiff, their faces pale and hollow. Amani felt a chill run down her spine. She ran inside. Guka, they're here. But there are more of them. Mzi Jabali calmly wiped his hands and stepped outside. He met the pale man's gaze without fear. Baraka told me he had extra tonight, the pale man said softly. Mzi Jabali nodded. and motioned for them to wait. He disappeared into the storage room and returned with another sack. Amani couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed a bucket of water and stormed outside. "You will not take any more meat," she shouted, throwing the water at their feet. The pale figures shrank back as the water touched the ground, their bodies dissolving into mist. The pale man looked at Amani, his eyes narrowing. "You should not have done that." Mzee Jabali stepped forward. "She did what I should have done long ago," he said firmly. "This ends tonight." The pale man stared for a moment, then slowly turned and vanished into the shadows.